Hello there, this is Sheepishly here once again, and today we have a very interesting craft to share with you guys, and that is how to craft the intelligent stacking Simplex Amulet, which I use for my Trickster splitting steel build. Now before we get into it, this is a very expensive craft, I just want to put that out there. It is definitely one of the most expensive upgrades you can make on this build. In fact, on screen here you can see that as of right now, POE.trade, the cheapest one goes for 420 divines, and more expensive one goes for 450, 450, 455, even up to a mirror, right? So it's definitely not an easy to craft item. It's definitely not, a cheap upgrade, but it is one of the best upgrades you can make for your build. Therefore, it is important to know how to craft it yourself if you want to do it. Now, for today, I've also prepared this Google Sheet, which I will link in the comments below if you want to have a read of the steps, as well as for a quick breakdown of the expected cost using today's market prices. Now, the materials have gone up in price over the recent weeks, and in fact, you can see that my estimate for the cost is actually more expensive than the market price. So if you have 400 something divines, maybe it's easier to just buy the item outright. But the cost side of the things won't always stay this high. In fact, when I crafted this 2 weeks ago, I spent maybe about 250 divines altogether to make this item. Just to show that I've actually done this craft, there we go. Here's in-game my finished item. You can see that it has 19% increased attributes, 26% increased intelligence, as well as the 2% increased damage per 15 intelligence roll. Absolutely a beast of an amulet. It is something that brings immense benefit to this build. One of the best upgrades, I can attest to that. Well, without further ado, let's jump over to Craft of Excel and show you how this is done. Unlike my other crafting guides, we will be doing this one in Craft of Excel for two reasons. One, this is actually a fairly deterministic craft, as long as you throw enough divines at it. So it is actually a fairly straightforward one to get down once you understand the process. And secondly, I don't have enough money to buy another Simplex Amulet and craft it again to show you guys. When I crafted the amulet earlier in the league, I did not record down the video, so I don't have that to share with you guys. But anyways, I think Craft of Excel is an excellent way to demonstrate how something's done, so let's jump into it. For step 1, we have to buy the Simplex Amulet itself. Eye level 84 will do, so you don't need an eye level 86 one, so that's good. I think this is going for about 250 divines at the moment. Next, we're gonna have to add a influence to it. So let's make it rare, just a no of any mod, and then we can slam it with a Conqueror Exalted Orb. Doesn't really matter which one we choose. Let's just do Warlords. There you go. And this is a part where we're gonna have to reforge this influence into a Shaper influence. The average attempt is 6 tries, and to avoid any confusion, let's just quickly jump into game. Going to Harvest Crafting Station. If you search for influence, you can see that there is this one costing 1,000 blue juice to randomize the influence on an influence normal magical rare item. So it's about 1 in 6 to get the Shaper influence. Again, it's not too expensive. On average, 6,000 juice, which is less than a divine. And what you'll end up with is something that looks like this. A Shaper influenced eye level 84 Simplex Amulet. Now, it has some random mods on it which we don't really care about because we're gonna be chaos spamming for the Shaper percentage increase attributes. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why can't I use alteration and augments to roll this? Well, that's because for Simplex Amulets, alteration and augments actually don't do anything. The only way to craft this is using a Chaos Orb, and the Chaos Orb always comes out with 3 attributes. Now, here we go. We've actually hit it on maybe about 5 tries. This is extremely lucky. By my math, I think it takes about somewhere between 100 to 200 tries, so definitely don't expect to hit it so quickly as we did here. Now, the next step is actually one of the more annoying ones. Once we've hit we're gonna have to annul off the other two modifiers. This is so that we can turn this into a magic item later on. So let's have a go. 1, 2. Okay, so you've removed your percentage increase attributes. If it's actually in game, you're gonna have to start again, unfortunately, with chaos spamming. But because this is Craft of Exile, let's just quickly undo and have another go. 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 There you go. We've done it. That took about, what, 10 attempts? Not, if anything, that will show you how much variance there is in this craft, and why the cost of the craft is so high is because all these little bits and pieces where you can get unlucky on, that's going to cost you an insane amount of time as well as divines to do. Now once we've annulled this, so now we have a I level 84 Simplex Amulet with only the Shaper percentage increased in attributes mod. Let's do suffix cannot be changed, which is another 2 divines, and we're going to scour it. There you go. As you can see that even when we had a 1 mod before, it was still a rare item. Now we've made this a magic item. And this is very important, because what we can do now is using bestiary crafting, right? Using Cry Chimera to create an imprint of this item. And this imprint will literally save you mirrors in terms of the crafting costs, because we're gonna go through some very high risk crafting steps, right? And with a high probability of failure, if you do fail without the imprint, the item is bricked forever. That's why it's very important to imprint. Please do not forget this step. In fact, I would create 3 or 4 imprints before you move on to the next step, just in case you accidentally do something wrong. You always have some backup there. You don't want to accidentally brick a 250 divine item. Now, once this imprint has been done, you can put this aside for now, and you can jump on trade side and look for the donor amulet. What you're looking for is something that looks like this. You have a bunch of mods that you don't care about. The 2 things you care about is, 1, it is Crusader influenced, and the second thing is that it has percentage increase intelligence mod, which it has to be T1. Now on trade side, this runs for about 1 divine each time you buy, and there's generally quite a decent amount of supply, so I wouldn't worry too much about the price of this donor item fluctuating. The next step once you've acquired this, well, it's simply to awaken or orb this item into the Simplex Amulet. In Craft of Exile, you can actually export this item using the little sidebar there. A little bit of Craft of Exile tip. This is by far my favorite website. It is so useful for all kinds of different crafting. And once you export this item, you can come over here to our Simplex, click on Awaken Orb, simply copy and paste the item you want to Awaken Orb into it. Bam! We're done. And here comes the annoying part, and the expensive part. You see that increased mana? It's always gonna be some mod for the prefix there. You're gonna have to annul it off, which is a 1 in 3. There we go. First try. That's quite rare. And after you annul this off, you're going to craft suffixes cannot be changed. Once again, go to Harvest, Reforge Influence. Reforge Influence costs about 1 divine per attempt. And what you're looking for here is the percentage increased damage per 15 intelligence mod. Let's see if we get it on the first try. We got Dexterity. At this point, you have no choice but to try to annul it once more. It's gone. And this is where the imprint comes in. You're going to apply the imprint, which makes this back into a magic item. You're going to imprint it again if you haven't done so already to save it. And you are going to buy yet another Crusader item so that you can Awaken Orbit again. There you go. Now we hit percentage increase armor. Same as before, we have to annul off the armor. We failed, we annulled off the percentage attribute. Apply the imprint once again. As you can see, this process gets very expensive very fast, especially with Awakening orbs costing 5 to 6 divines, right? It is incredible how quickly the costs can stack up. We've awakened orb yet another Crusader Amulet into it. Let's try to annul off the max energy shield. We failed. It gets quite repetitive, the process here. Let's do it one more time. Failed again. Look at that. I'm starting to lose count of how many times we've done this. There you go. A second try, we've annulled off the only prefix. So let's craft suffixes can be changed. Come over to harvest here. Reforge influence. We hit fist damage as extra lightning. Guess what? We have to annul that mod off. We failed. Start again. So it is a bit of a loop, right? It's a very expensive loop. Now you might ask, what's the chance, right, of actually landing when we go back to this step with, you know, suffix can be changed and reforge influence? What's the chance of hitting this? A lot of the other content creators quote this number of 1 in 27, 1 in 28 odds of success. So immediately when people hear that, they're turned off by this craft because that's incredibly expensive. And if you have to try it 27, 28 times to succeed, who's going to be doing this craft, right? Well, the good news for you is that I've done the math myself, and I think those people who are quoting those numbers, maybe they've got the math wrong, or maybe they're quoting someone else who got the math a little bit wrong before, or maybe simply it's a gatekeeping scheme from people attempting this craft, because it's a 1 in 10 to hit the roll, right? And the reason why it's a 1 in 10 is because the mod that we're trying to hit, right? If I jump back into game right now, you can see that this damage, increased damage per intelligence mod has a shaper tag on it, because it is a shaper mod. This is also a Crusader mod that does the same thing of 1% increased damage per 50 intelligence, and you can actually hit either of them. What's the chance of hitting either the Shaper or the Crusader version of this mod from a Reforged Influence? It's a 1 in 10. You don't have to take my word for it. We can actually demonstrate this by jumping into the simulation tool for Craft of Exile. So here we've got the exact amulet we were working on before, which is increased intelligence and increased percentage attributes. What we want to do is use a harvest crafting, Reforged Influence. I'm going to target either the Shaper or the Crusader percentage damage per 15 int. Right? You can run the simulation. I will link the steps for how to do this yourself in my Google Sheets that I showed you earlier, so you can try this for yourself. And you can see the results. I've let this run 5,000 times. We got 544 passes. We got to be lucky there, about 10.7%, or a ratio of 1 in 10. So 1 in every 10 Reforged influences is the expected chance of you getting this item. And you can see some of the generated items. Shaper mod, Crusader mod, there's no difference. 2% increased damage per 15 intelligence. So, yeah, it's not too bad, the odds. It's still 1 in 10. It's a very expensive 1 in 10. Let me just quickly demonstrate us hitting this note there. But it's much better than 1 in 22 or 26 or whatever that the other people have been quoting here. And at this point of the league, it is very expensive because Simplex Amulet themselves cost $250. There you go, hit that. That was maybe like, what, 12 tries, so a bit unlucky, but there we go. I think before, when Simplex Amulet was about 80, 90 divines, this craft can be done in like 200 divines, which is what I did. I bought my Simplex Amulet fairly early on, so I got pretty lucky with this one here. For me, the least fun part is actually trying to divine this one to perfect. It does take a while to divine it, or maybe take 2 divines in Craft of Exile. This is a very expensive craft, but we did get a little bit unlucky in the simulation here. And there you go. That's how you craft this 420 divine perfect int-stacking Simplex Amulet. People ask me, hey, why don't you use the lucky damage with lightning amulet, which is much cheaper? Why do you use this one? Well, the fact of the matter is that it provides the biggest boost to my build, right? Without it, I'm on 21,000 energy shield. With this amulet, 24.6. That's a 4,000 energy shield increase. And damage-wise, we have about 490 DPS. I know it's not accurate on POE, but it just gives you an indication of what this can increase up to. With just sub 500,000 DPS, put on the amulet, bam, 870,000. It is a crazy amulet for a crazy build. Even though it's a bit expensive, if you have the money, I would definitely try to get yourself one of these. Well, thank you for watching. Again, please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time on the next crafting project. Bye bye.